area of my life to the next level. Okay, and it's going to help you guys in here. It'll help you at school. Help you in your life. Right? All right. Sport is, in essence, it's a microcosm of your life. All right? It's a reflection of your life. What we're doing here in the pool, or if you're doing strength training or any other sport, you are being asked to respond to challenges and adversity. Okay, that's what sport is. You are responding to challenges and adversity. It could be from opponents, it could be from yourself, whether you're psyched out or something like that. Okay? Figuring out how to deal with that. Quote unquote, I'm going to say quote unquote, failure in sport is often a reflection of some struggle or weakness or shortcoming that you're having in other areas of your life. All right?
Hey, Shauna Ashley.
Talking. Stealing the trash can.
She's so strong.
I hate you.
Bye.
So I'm
She's
gonna,
a mess.
okay, so I'm going to ask you to bear with me for a few minutes, all right? This is going to seem totally unrelated to what we're doing, but I promise you, it's all come together with this mind-blowing concept that it changed me, and I think it'll really help you. So back in 2013, I started taking a martial arts class. Okay, I started because I wanted to learn to defend myself and others, especially. This was almost right after I got hired by the Heat. A lot of times we're outside, and it's not exactly the best area of town. Okay, we get interesting stuff happening all the time. There's always like SWAT cars and policemen barreling down the street. So I'm like, okay, what happens if I have to put myself in between a group of 10-year-olds and some psycho? Okay, I got to be prepared for that. It's sad, but it's a reality. Okay, my number one priority as a coach, your coach included, what's my number one priority? Safety. It's keeping you safe. Okay, it's not making you faster. It's not torturing you in hard workouts. It's not having you do well in meets. It's keeping you safe. It's my number one priority. So I started that. I had also wanted a little more of a challenge. I've been doing a lot of things. I guess I was kind of stagnating a little bit. This is going to sound really funny, but I felt like I needed a little more humility. And what better way than to join up a martial arts class? All right? So that first class I go to, I had done some research, and I was pretty much sold on what they were doing. I knew that this was going to be the way to go. So what they had on their website, plus a gut instinct. Okay? I knew that it was the right way to go. But that first class we were doing, I was just uncoordinated, awkward, overwhelmed. And this is me who'd been doing hardcore CrossFit workouts. I was doing sometimes like 5,000 to 6,000 yards of butterfly each week. So I'm in phenomenal shape, and yet I was struggling a little bit. Okay, a little bit of humility there. Our very first class, we started. Anybody know what a hanbo is?
No.
How about a bow? Not
Yeah.
bow and arrow. Staff.
Yeah.
A hanbo is a half staff. I started playing around with these. How to use them? I've got this stick here, and I'm like, why am I playing with a stick? How is this going to help me get to where I want to be? But they assured me that it would if everything was related. I put my faith in them. I trusted that it was going to help me. All right. Kept going. I fell in love with it. Long story short, but one of the first concepts and philosophies they taught me was, my sensei kept saying this, and I did not understand it. This comes from our grandmaster in Japan. He's pushing 90 right now. He still throws guys who are like 6'5" around. I've seen him a couple times. Phenomenal guy. But this idea of, I'm not teaching you how to fight, I'm teaching you how to live. I'm like, okay, cool. not sure I understand what that means. But I just kept going. I started getting better. A lot of pains, a lot of growing pains. Like 6 months into my career, I dislocated my elbow. Learned a lot from that. Again, I never lose, I win, or I learn. A lot of good came out of that. But throughout all of that, all the struggles I had, I kept hearing, I'm not teaching you how to fight, I'm teaching you how to live. Okay, it started to become a little bit clearer as I advanced. Okay, 2015, took my first trip to Japan. Also failed my first test. Failed my first blood test. And it wasn't like devastating. I wasn't I wasn't disappointed. It's like, I'm gonna get it. But what they told me afterwards was, do a little soul searching. Okay, take a couple days, look inside, look inwards, and figure out what the problem is. Because I had the skills. I worked hard. Okay, I was fully capable of doing everything. And it wasn't just me. I had a few other students who didn't pass. I did end up doing it a few days later. But what they meant was, the reason I didn't pass that test was there was some sort of connection or correlation between that failure and some shortcoming in my life. Okay? Long story short, they tested me again a few days later. It was really cool. It was up in the mountains, kind of right around all these old Japanese shrines. Really cool stuff. Passed it. Almost pushed my attacker off a cliff. Didn't though. It was an accident. So I got a lot out of that. Still didn't fully understand those concepts though. That fall was bad for me personally. It was really bad. A lot of bad financial, career-related issues. A lot of not good stuff going on. I failed another test, and that was pretty devastating because I had put tons and tons and tons and tons of effort into learning. I went into the test feeling really ready, just like I'm going to knock it out of the park. So I get there, and I was the highest ranking student testing, so that means I was going last. Everybody who tested ahead of me was screwing up left and right. It was a total you-know-what show. It was bad. My sensei was out of his mind, furious, and he is frightening when he's scared. Not like rah, 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 but he got that quiet frustration and anger. That's the worst kind. At least in my opinion. Okay, so the atmosphere in the dojo was terrible. Okay, so I've been sitting around for 2 hours watching these guys mess up, and what do you think's going on in my head? What do you think I'm doing in my head?
Don't mess up.
I'm panicking, I'm second guessing myself, I'm going over in my head everything I need to know. I get to the test, fail epically. Terrible, that was one of the worst, that was probably the worst experience of my martial arts career. It was probably worse than that dislocated elbow. It stuck with me. Right? Old saying, the car's ready, but what about the driver? Okay, look like Indy 500, those cars are red and ready to go, but they're only as good as the person driving. The body was ready for what's going on in here. Yeah. In a nutshell, I didn't pass that test because of a lack of confidence. Guess what else was going on in my life? Lack of confidence. Okay, I wasn't doing well, at least I don't think I was. I wasn't doing well as a coach. Okay. I had my big fall swim meet, masters meet that I went to. Guess what? I had trained my butt off. I was doing some awesome things in training. It didn't do well for me. Okay, I should have. The car was ready. The driver wasn't. Okay, but that was the end of 2015. A few weeks off. 2016 turned out to be one of the best years of my life. Because I took what I learned, I took all those failures, or perceived failures, perceived losses, and applied them. Alright? Changed my attitude, changed my focus. I went after my first kettlebell certification that April. Okay? In a nutshell, that weekend is brutal. Okay? It's hellish. They pound the heck out of you, wear you down, and then at the end you're expected to do some pretty tough tests. Okay, they're hard. I had prepped well, I had trained well, I was ready physically. So I show up to this weekend, and first day goes well. Second day, they start grilling me. Okay, some of you guys know what a Turkish getup is? I don't know if you do. Okay, well, part of it is basically standing up with a weight over your head. So going from here to here, I had this struggle where if your ankle does that, you fail. $1,500 class, several months of hard, brutal training. That happens, you fail. In practice, in class, this kept happening. Couldn't stop. Night before the test, I was a wreck. I was up in Seattle. I was in a bad place. I'm thinking I might as well just drive home right now because I can't pass. But then a really awesome thing happened. This was like one of the biggest enlightening moments of my life when I was actually at an LA Fitness up there after the class swimming. I wanted to get in and loosen up a little bit. So I'm in the pool, I'm a wreck, trying to loosen up, and I don't know what made it occur to me, but I'd been in that situation before. No, I had never taken this course. This was unlike anything I'd done, and yet I'd been there. Okay, the test I was going to be doing set up the exact same way as what I'm doing in martial arts. The snatch test, our conditioning test, no different than diving off the blocks in a race. It's like, wait a minute. I've trained. I've been there. I've done this. I've done this before. Next day, knocked it out of the park. I was still nervous. It was tough. It was intense. But knocked it out of the park. Just by that realization I had the night before when I was ready to give up and drive home. $1,500 down the toilet. Okay, I'm not made of money. That's a lot of money for me. I was ready to just say, nope, I can't do it. I'm going to go home. But some little voice inside of me said, no, you've been here before. All right? That shot my confidence through the roof. It was like a springboard for the next few years. Later that summer, I won a national championship in the 200 fly in Masters. Okay, that fall, I had one of my best meets ever. 2017 rolls around. Okay, first international meet, first solo trip over the ocean. Okay, that can be kind of daunting. Okay, having 30 hours of travel time, flight time. Okay, silver medal in the 200 fly, almost a gold. Just didn't happen. The other guy was better. Silver medal. I passed more tests in martial arts. Another funny thing started happening is my athletes I'm working with the heat, they really started to get better. They really started to improve. Now, wait a minute, what's going on here? 2018 rolls around. I told this to a lot of you guys. If you remember me last year, right before districts, I got some bad news that my coach from high school did some really bad things. This was a lot of my foundation as an athlete and coach was this guy who turned out to be really bad. Okay? That was a crisis. Long story short, I overcame it, but I was thinking about hanging up my whistle, putting the stopwatch away. It's like, I got these rotten foundations. Well, what am I doing? What good am I?
We're glad you didn't.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I'm glad I didn't either. A lot of people started putting some faith in me at around the same time. That was when, rather than quit coaching, that's when I decided I was going to be head coach of this team. All right, almost totally in part to you guys who were there last year. Some of you were probably, Paul's new to the team. A lot of the faith you guys put in me got me through that crisis. All right. So going back to, I'm not teaching you how to fight. I'm teaching you how to live. Learning how to overcome those challenges is doing the exact same thing for real life. And I realized last year that I'm not teaching you how to swim. I'm teaching you how to live. I haven't even been thinking about it. And yet that's what I was doing. No, I'm not some 90-year-old grandmaster from Japan who can throw 300-pound guys through a wall. But I'm doing the same thing. All right, so anything that's going on, if it's in practice or it's in a meet, if you're struggling, look elsewhere in your life. See where you're struggling in your life and look for a correlation. Okay? Figure out what's going on. I can almost guarantee you it's related. But that, again, it comes down to if you're doing your due diligence. You're sitting on the wall, horsing around, well, then you're not doing well because you're being lazy. But if you're putting the effort in, you're putting the work in, if you're doing what you need to be doing, and yet something still isn't going right, I'll tell you what my sensei told me. Do a little soul searching. Look inside, look at your life in other areas. It could be school, family, anything else you're involved in, like some other sport or activity or game. I can almost guarantee you, if you're doing what you need to be doing, the struggles you're experiencing are going to be the same. Does that make sense? So I want you to remember that. Paul?
Kevin, I was wondering about your high school coach. What bad thing did he do?
I'm not going to get into that, Paul. If you've been paying attention to current events enough, you can probably guess. But I don't want to get into that. All right? Sorry.
Keep it positive, huh?
Yeah. Questions? Anything?
So before everyone leaves, I think Katie and I have stuff to just talk about briefly. I was hoping I could maybe just check